have another question from our comments. Sushma is asking that in the US, it's very common to go to a shrink and tell your problems, and like a
Yeah.
normal routine. So how do you
Right.
think that we can make it normal here in India that going to someone like a psychologist is becomes a same thing like visiting a dentist, maybe?
Okay, so because of the pandemic, one good
Yeah,
thing has happened is people have started becoming aware because anxieties have
yeah,
increased. People
yeah,
are going through depression.
yeah,
So the people have started becoming aware that mental health is important. Unlike
yeah,
earlier, even in my time when I was in college and I had just stepped into one of the hospitals, one of the government
yeah,
hospitals, and we were asking
Mhm.
for the department of mental health.
yeah.
And literally the woman, said, Ye wala, she did this action. So it's like
Okay.
that was from there coming to today. And I just kept
Yeah,
staring at her for 2 seconds, wondering like what was she doing? So
yeah,
unfortunately, what has
Yeah.
been portrayed in movies that
yeah,
only if you are crazy, if you are mad, then you go to a psychologist, which is not true.
Correct.
yeah,
So now because of the pandemic, a lot of people are coming to awareness. In fact, we have done so many talks and lives. I mean, there is no count to that. Whether it is at workplaces, whether it's with children, students, all age groups. We have
yeah,
done more work than we have actually done during the past years. These 6 months
yeah.
have been massive change.
I'm
So,
sure. Yes.
but the sad part is, do we need a pandemic for such a thing to come up?
Actually,
Yeah.
That
this
is
should have been a normal circumstance, no, a normal scenario. People should be aware. I mean, we did actually. You're right, Michelle. We didn't need the pandemic to be aware of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. But you know how it works on fear, the principle of
Yeah.
fear. Unless there is
Absolutely.
something. So even when people come to us, if there is something that's, it's like they are on fire or on gas, that is when they will actually contact us and tell, ma'am, we are in such a situation. Can you please help
Yeah.
us? We have to
Right.
go from there to normalizing and helping them.
Right.
So otherwise they feel it's okay, it's good. It's good to go for parties. It's good to go for dinners. It's good to go for trips. But why do you want to waste money at a mental health professional that you can do
Yeah.
anyways? Because when you go for parties, you go for all these things, you anyways feel good, and they think that is
Correct.
equal to your mental health, which is very unfortunate.
Very
Yeah.
true.
And I can see the number of questions which are coming in, so I realize that how many people are interested in this particular topic. So we have another question by Ashwini. He's asking that what is the most efficient method of evaluating creativity in preschool children?
Okay. First and foremost, if you're a
Yeah.
parent, okay,
Yeah.
very, very important to make observations and just be with the child. So the more you're engaging with your child, the more you will know about how the child is. Because I say that there are many types of intelligence. There are like almost 9 types of intelligence we all have.
Okay.
So there will be one or two which they will exhibit, more than the others. So somebody who is maybe very good at singing, you will see them, humming songs or
Yeah.
listening more to musics and poems. So that's how you will be able to. So as a parent, we
Yeah.
do conscious parenting. So in that also we say that you will have to be there, engage with your child, be present with your child. That means
Yeah.
you will have to first be stable, and
Yeah.
you will get to know, yes,
Yeah.
and then you will get to know what is the strength of your child.
Okay. Okay. In fact, me and Deepa were talking about the digital availability of information. Deepa, you want to ask that question?
Yeah,
That,
actually, it's like
yeah.
these days, like you're saying, Michelle, kids are constantly on the phone. There's so much exposure to social media. There's so much
Yeah.
exposure. There is no lack. I mean, whatever they want, it's all out there. To what extent does that determine their thought process? Because you don't know what they're consuming, the kind of content they're consuming. We don't know. As parents, we can't constantly can't be monitoring that, right? So how does that determine their thought process? And does it determine their thought process?
It does. Actually, prior to this boom of internet and using phones and all the children, we
Yeah.
had a category called ADHD, which we would put to only a few, if they come into that category, we'll tell them, okay, this child has this issue and, he needs help. But now if you ask, it's not only kids, it's all of us who are coming into that spectrum. Because
Yeah.
there's so much of information overload that's happening. Right from the time you open your phone, there are ads, so it affects the children as well. There's a bombarding of information that comes in. Okay,
Yes.
they're not able to focus the way they could earlier. It definitely affects. It
It
definitely
does.
affects. Yes,
So how
it
how
does.
do as parents, as a parent, how does one monitor that? How does one control that? Is there something that we can do to ensure that it doesn't really affect their behavior?
Yeah, so this is a work which involves family together. Okay,
Right.
so first, if it's a nuclear family, so it will be the husband and the wife. Okay,
Hmm.
they will along with the child. Now, depending on the age of the child, if the child is small, obviously the parents will have to set certain guidelines, and one
Yes.
of them will definitely have to monitor that.
Hmm.
And if it's an elder child, you can involve that child in a discussion. So if it's a teen,
Right.
involve them. That's
Okay.
called a little democratic parenting, where you
Yeah.
involve them, set the guidelines, set the rules, and that rules applies to all. So it's not like if
Right.
you're a parent and you say that I have work, so I have to be on the mobile. So then they will say this is hypocrisy, mom or dad.
Right.
You can
Right.
be on the phone at 12 o'clock in the night and I can't touch the phone. That doesn't work.
Right.
So if the
Hmm.
rules are applied, they have to be. I'm not saying, see, it's going to be a strict rule business, but at least to a large extent that will help. And even talking to your child, very, very important to communicate with your child. So have certain regimes, you have your story time with your little child. If it's a little kid, there are many
Hmm.
ways in which you can instill values in your children through reading.
Yeah.
Now we have audibles also. You can
Yes.
listen to stories if you don't like to read. So there are many ways in which you can engage. So you can be the influencer, not the mobile.
Okay.
That's
Okay. I have to take few questions because the questions are coming up like in a very great speed. So before I must miss out, Ankit is asking what is the main cause of negative thinking, and there is one more question which Roshan is asking is what kind of challenge do you face when you try to counsel an introvert and an extrovert personality facing depression?
Okay. So, what was the first question, Anupam? If you
First
can
question
repeat?
is by Ankit Sanvi. He's asking what is the main cause of negative thinking.
Okay. So now, if you ask what's the main cause of negative thinking, unless it's become an addiction, or unless
Yeah.
somebody is addicted to negative thinking, like always,
Yeah.
which we call it as pessimism. That if you're
Yeah.
cynical and if you're a pessimist, so that
Yeah.
means it's like you have a different view of life. So now there are two things which are factors in this. One is your nature, and one
Yeah.
is the nurture. So the nurture
Okay.
over here will play an important role. So when I say
Yeah.
nurture, it means your upbringing. It's like what was the thought processes which on which the parenting was done. What was the disciplining? Like what were you more inclined to even think as a child? For example, if you
Yeah.
had a freestyle thinking, like which we all
Yeah.
are born with. Nobody is
Yeah.
born with negative thinking. But
Yeah.
what
Right.
happens is here, I will mix in a little of primitive knowledge that when we had our ancestors, which were like ape men, at that time, hunting was their job. They had to hunt and they were nomads, like moving from one place to other. So for
Yes.
them, if they are sitting, at leisure under a tree, it didn't work for them because any animal would attack, a ferocious
Yeah.
animal. So they always had to be in alert. So for
Yeah.
them at that time, they were accounting more of the threats that they were facing because they were out in the open. Now
Yeah.
we live in a concrete jungle. They lived in an open jungle. So now for us,
Yeah.
the threats, as per se, the physical threats have reduced, but that very part has been passed on in our DNA. So that's where
Yeah.
even earlier I said our natural inclination is to negative thinking, to account
Correct.
for what if this happens, what if that happens. And then
Yeah.
that's the nature, that's how the DNA has been programmed. But what
Yeah.
happened is that now, as evolved humans, we forgot that we don't need that. We forgot that part of evolution where we can adapt to safety and security. So this
Yeah.
major role is of parenting, where it's like an emotional intelligence. I would say that if you are intelligent, you will
Yeah.
pass on that emotional intelligence. We are not saying that forget your fears. It never works that way. Your
Right.
fears are important. Every emotion is important, but when to use what and where, that is one part. And when it comes to depression, there is nothing called as introvert and this extrovert. It's all the same. The person is going through the same symptoms, but there are different techniques which we as therapists use. Some like to talk about it, some don't like to talk about it. But it's like, so that's how we have to be skilled and trained enough that we are handling any personality. So what we know outwardly, that introvert means who doesn't talk, and extrovert means who is very expressive. So by that definition, that person shouldn't fall in the category of depression.
Yeah.
But it's not that. Depression is a very different category. So I would say that there is no introvert and extrovert. Whoever comes, it's based on their personality is how we deal with them in interventions.
Okay, okay. So also I have a very interesting question, which I was reading an article, which was mentioning that for the first time families are staying together, and this has worked both positively and negatively. Where at one hand relationships have improved, people who were willing to spend time forever, they got the time with their kids, they got the time to eat homemade food, they got the time to stay at home. But on the other side, we also felt that there was a lot of domestic violence cases also which were filed during the pandemic. So you have been handling a lot of cases, as you were saying that this the number of cases which you handle are more than what you have worked till now. So
Yes.
what do you think that what has, like, is it a like an opportunity, or is it like a pause in the relationship, that how people have dealt with it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll focus on the domestic violence part of it, and
Yes.
Michelle can focus on the family. So,
Yes.
domestic violence as such, was always there. It was
Yeah.
always there. And it's like, even when you were asking this question, I thought I'll just in one line define what is domestic violence without any gender specification. It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be a child, or it could be a geriatric, the elderly population. If someone is being physically, sexually, emotionally, financially abused or mentally abused, either by talking provocative statements, or by yelling at them, or by physically beating them up, denying their rights of having money or access to the basic rights that we have, it comes in the category of domestic violence. But what happens is, we don't know this. We feel only somebody who beats his wife, the wife is gone through physical abuse, and only that is domestic violence. So then you go to a police and you complain. So the number of cases that have been reported worldwide, if you go and see in WHO, worldwide there have been 20% increase in all the countries. In all the countries, basically the northern side of India, moreover, and Brazil has always been a hub for domestic violence. Then there is Houston, Texas. There is so many different places. So it's not only that it happens here in India. So why this domestic violence? First thing, people have maybe come into more awareness, because nobody has been able to pinpoint the increase. Only thing is that now they know first what used to happen. If somebody is hitting, for example, if there's a physical abuse, so what you can do, you can run out of the house. You can get out of the house. You can go and stay with a friend, or you can, just talk to someone and finish it. But now, outside there's bigger threat. So you live in the same house, but it is out. It's more than your threshold level. You can't take it. So those women, or those children or people who have been quiet, have started opening up their voice. So that way there has been a little positivity, even if the issue seems dark and something that's not spoken, that now they know that they can raise their voice, and they are feeling unsafe even in their houses, and they are feeling unsafe outside. And that is also because of the constriction of spaces, because these people who never wanted to live with each other are now living with each other. So then domestic violence is something which we anyways used to tackle in our counseling, where even somebody used to come, we used to tell them that, hello, you fall in the category of domestic violence. Not to instigate them that go do something, go do the same thing to them, but just to make them aware, that this is happening to you, and any kind of abuse is never to be encouraged. And there are many free resources available, but what we would say that this is a pattern that you form, and not one person is in fault. Both the parties are at fault, because one has done it and the other one is being a victim, which is easy to inflict. So that's how we are seeing a rise, because people are now understanding and coming up with it a lot. And Michelle, the family part, I think you can lead them with.
Yeah. So what happens with people who have been working and so used to traveling out? They have to wake up in the morning, they have to leave for work, and They
Yeah.
have a schedule for themselves. Now,
Routine,
suddenly,
yeah.
especially for men, we have seen they're facing a difficulty because now children are coming in suddenly when they're working, they're making
Yeah.
noise and we're disturbing them. So they are finding it difficult. How do we cope with this? So
Yeah.
that is something like, again, I will say the same thing that as a family, they will have to support each other. So we are seeing people, where there is like distribution of duties happening in families where they are cooperating with each other beautifully.
Yeah.
So, and the base for that is communication.
Yes.
It's sad, but people do not, like, especially in relationships, people just make assumptions, and that
Yeah.
is how they live their relationships, and relationships never work on assumptions.
Yeah.
Even if you're sad, if you have the guts to even tell that in a way to your partner that you are feeling sad because of whatever he said or she said to you,
Yeah.
that would go a long way. Because see, we are facing, let's not even deny the fact that we are all going through a turmoil because of whatever the fear that is there around.
Yeah.
So that communication is very, very important. So we have seen families who are beautifully, like, when we are guiding them, they are following that. And there are
Yeah.
families who are going through turmoil. So there are both sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, having said all this, domestic violence, we're listening to so many such cases that are coming out. There's one more thing that people are really talking about now, and that is substance abuse. Now, there is a very thin line between habit and addiction. As subject matter experts, what is your take on that?
Okay, so this is another, I would say a reaction of the pandemic, because now we are closed doors. We were never closed doors. We don't know what to do. So we have never even, maybe more than a few hours stayed with the people whom we are staying now. Or else the person is staying, or else the person is staying alone because the family is in a different city or a different country.
Yeah.
So then the first thing that happens is that there's a void that is created, and this void, how much will you fill it with a mobile phone and how much will you fill it with Netflix series? So that's for the people whose base is not very strong in thinking positive and looking forward for a tomorrow. They are they are very susceptible. I will not say that they are doing it on purpose, but this is the best thing that they get into. And substance abuse is also, substance abuse will mean a different thing where you take a substance and then you get addicted. Even alcohol is one of that. And at the same time, even pornography is one of that, because you don't know what to do. So even sex addiction comes into that play. And there are other kind of addictions which will be very technical to discuss, but the main thing is that what the person feels. The person wants to feel a high. The person wants to heighten their perception of living, that wow, I'm feeling so good because I have taken this substance or because I have been doing this act. But what happens is, the reality is that, for example, if you say that if you want to feel very high, what if the people who are important to you also start doing this? For example, the doctors, the drivers who are taking you somewhere, or the pilots who are flying you. What if everybody wants to feel this kind of high? What if we as, mental health care people want to feel high, and we are feeling so high because we are like overburdened with counseling? So that is not acceptable. So if something which a person feels is not acceptable to one strata of society or one category, why is it acceptable to you? So that is the first question that you should ask. Don't you think that anybody feels the void? Everybody has their own ups and downs. Nobody is free of that, including us, including all of you. We all have our moods. So learn to accept your moods. That is also the first step in removing the stigma of mental health, that everybody has their ups and downs. Going to any substance or going to any kind of addiction is never going to solve it, and you're not going to feel high. You are actually going to go very low, because to solve your that low phase in life, this is not a way to go high. So, but there is a method to come out of it for the ones who fall in the category of addiction. It's not that easy. And again, as Michelle said, the family support is very important. We cannot, just tell that, okay, this person is like this or this person is like this. There's no point in labeling. And many times, if there is a, specific, as you asked the question of substance abuse, there is a mental illness hidden behind that. It could be depression, it could be
Yeah.
bipolarity. So I'm not like trying to put labels that if the person has, resorted to alcohol or substance, that
Yeah.
means this is the case. But major times, as I said, the basic definition is you're trying to cover a load or you're trying to cover a void. So that can be dealt with without all these things in therapy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Also, what I have felt this that during the pandemic, I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but people have also become very humble. Like they never thought that this kind of a situation they'll face, and they have learned the way to stay in lockdown. They have learned the way to maybe the harder way, but they have learned how to stay calm. Basically, what's your take on that? Is it like true? Like people have become humble?
Yes, they have. They are coping. So there are people who
Yeah.
are actually. This will be true for me and Natasha also. We've done a lot of
Yeah.
self work in this 6 months.
Yeah.
A lot of self work,
Yeah.
And it's just that we are like every day there is new awareness. There is new beginning. There's
Yeah.
so much beautiful things that are coming up for us. So every day is a happy day for us. We're not saying that we don't have difficulties, but what makes us different from others is we are able to cope. We have the tools, and so
Yeah.
yes, there are people who are working on themselves in this time. It's a very good thing. You'll see suddenly there are people who have risen. They've suddenly
Yeah.
started coming up, showing up, and they were nowhere earlier. They got
Yeah.
time to write books. They've got time to make poems, which they always wanted to do. So this
Yeah.
has done some good as well.
Yes. In
I
fact,
think
I
it
have
has
learned.
really helped.
Yes, I have learned how to cook, how to clean the house, how to clean
Wow.
the utensils, everything during the pandemic. So
So your
yeah,
wife will be really happy, Anupam.
I'm sure she's very happy.
Deepa has more information. She is very happy. In fact, yeah, we have divided the work. Frankly, we have divided the work, and we know that we'll not have any house help for that particular period of time. So we know that the work has to be divided. The work has to be done. So yeah, that has made us humble. At least that I can say from my own experience. That yes, we have become humble.
And people are actually getting a lot of time to introspect. We never
Yeah.
had the time to sit back and think what we want, what we like, what we don't like. So this actually, in a way, this entire lockdown scenario has given people a lot of time to introspect. And
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
their creative side, their emotional side, everything's just coming out.
Yeah.
Right? I think that in a way, it's a boon.
In
Yeah.
fact,
So that's where you
yeah.
need to have
Yeah.
gratitude to
Yes.
the
Yes.
COVID pandemic. That in that
Yeah.
fast digital
Yeah.
age where we are just going somewhere and coming and meeting at different times, all of
Correct.
us are locked up inside, and that's what the beauty of Mother Earth is. She said you all need to spend time more with each other than
Yes.
just mindlessly roaming outside.
Yeah, in
Correct.
fact, the nature has also improved. The pollution has gone down. The nature also has healed. That way, if you talk about it, like the nature has also healed. Not only humans, nature has also healed. Nature, wherever the pollution levels were high, and it was like an unsolved issue. Now they have no pollution. Maybe
Yeah.
now with the unlock happening, I'm not too sure whether that pollution thing is still the same. But yes,
Yes.
Mother Nature
But
has
Mother
its
Earth has
own way.
definitely
Yeah,
healed.
she has her own ways. Yes, I'll agree to that.